What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark back from MovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm going to talk about Conclave. This movie's still playing in theaters. It does have audio description. It's also on VOD. It was technically made available from my consideration, or at least from my group's consideration. I don't know why, not me specifically, but, I missed the email on that one. But I figured out how to watch Conclave, and I watched it with audio description. I was like, you know what? I want to watch this. Let's do it. So, uh, I really loved Edward Berger's last film, All Quiet on the Western Front, was actually my pick for Best Picture of 2022. My personal, not that I thought it was going to win the Oscar, but I was pleasantly surprised when it sort of overperformed at the Oscars because I thought that was an amazing, just powerful movie. So, I was really looking forward to Conclave, which is his follow-up to that. And this one stars Ray Fiennes, John Lithgow, Stanley Tucci, and Isabella Rossellini. Although I'm only putting her up there because people know who she is. Starring is, that's a stretch of that word. And it is based around the death of the Pope and this process where the Cardinals of the Catholic Church come together to vote on who will succeed, who will become the next pope, and they are sequestered, and they sort of vote day after day. And you've sort of seen this on the news. This is where, like on the news, and then the smoke comes up, and then the color of the smoke lets you know whether or not they voted, and there was no consensus, and they voted, oh, and there's consensus. So any contender to be pope has to gain 72 votes. So it's sort of like watching an election and watching politics unfold in that election. And the whole process is sort of being run by the dean. This is his job. This is what he's been tasked with doing. This is why he was around. And Ray Fiennes plays Thomas, who has already expressed the fact that he has a lot of doubts, and he tried to resign from this position prior to this event happening, and the previous pope denied his request, almost like he knew something. There's a lot of this, like, how much did the pope before it know? What did he know? That is sort of like worked in, so it becomes a little bit of a mystery, because it seems like the old coot had something going on. He was cooking something up. So, he was a wily one, that Pope. Lots of different ideas in politics, and about a nominee being incredibly conservative and walking them back 60 years of evolution, and some of the other ones being seen as too liberal. So it feels very much like politics. I'm amazed that this is playing so well in theaters. Like, this is, especially with the ending that it has, I am just like, the fact that audiences love this gives me hope for people being able to separate politics from film, being able to just sit back and go, it is a great movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, just from start to finish, it's just, it's very dialogue-y. It's very, you have to sort of pay attention to it. It's rated PG, just to give you any idea. I mean, remember, these guys are all, I know that you could say, yeah, I know, they're Catholic priests. Okay, so where are the boys? Well, they're not in here, okay? This is not that movie. There are no small boys in this movie. There are some nuns, but Isabella Rossellini is really the only one that speaks. So she's like the Lorax for the nuns. She speaks for the trees. And when she does speak, it's very little. I think she has 3 scenes where she speaks, but she's in more scenes. So her chances at supporting actress, now I'm realizing, I'm like, oh my God, I just wish she had a little bit more. But maybe she's giving, like, I am a blind film critic, so maybe she's giving like tons of face in the background, just like the whole time, like the camera's just constantly getting her face, and she's just giving like, oh, You know, and you're like, wow, that face is great. Um, but man, it's just really Burger. Like this campaign that they're mounting for Rossellini is trying to make. Oh my God, it's like you're trying to make cake out of sand. It's like, yeah, you have something. There's sand is something. Why are you trying to make cake with it? It feels like she has like 5 lines of dialogue, I think, in here, and they're like Oscar campaign. She's in this film less than Anjou Ellis is in The Nickel Boys, which I complained about. I was like, this is a little bit too little. This is truly supporting. um, so I personally will not be voting for Isabella Rossellini, although I think she's a tremendous actress. It's just not enough, this film. As far as the three dudes, I hate to be that, but the guys you would recognize with, I don't know the actor. There's an interesting twist that is brought into this. There are some other people who speak up, by the way, that I don't know who they are, but they represent like from other countries and regions and stuff. But it turns out that there was this secret process that the Pope had made a cardinal from Kabul, which they're all like, well, I mean, I guess we would need to keep it secret if there was in Afghanistan, you know. And it's this Marquez and Benitez, and I think there's another one that's Marquez. Anyway, Benitez is this. He's come in. A year ago, the Pope gave him the position. He has the formal letter, so he gets to come in and vote. And it's interesting how his position sort of works his way into the conversation, into the film, because he has this very like sort of he feels very much like an outsider. Like he doesn't know who these people are. They don't know who he is. He has this outsider approach, but it very much feels like, you know, very like a warm character. And pay attention to Benitez. But Ray Fiennes basically has to carry this whole thing and deal with the political machinations of everybody else. I was worried that there was going to be like a lot of twists and turns here, but there's some, but I thought it was going to be a little bit too twisty for its own good. But it's pretty straightforward. I mean, these guys are supposed to all be cardinals, so they can't be all stabbing each other in the back. I was expecting somebody to just get like murdered and then like, well, I guess he's not in the running anymore, you know. That PG rating keeps it down really low. Should your kids watch this? I mean, I think little kids will fall asleep. I don't think that PG rating means anything other than just to let you know there's nothing objectionable here. You know, there's like vaping is this, and there's a little bit of discussion, which I'm actually kind of surprised we kept in a PG movie, but there's a little bit of discussion of some of the misdeeds of one of the candidates, and that's probably about as edgy as this film gets, without going into it. Like, there was an inquiry, you know. Oh, what did you do? So I don't want to spoil the movie. Definitely go into this and just let the film wash over you, and let the fact that there are multiple candidates being presented with multiple ideas, some more fascist than others, be the thing that carries. John Lithgow's character is sort of prominent because he was the last person to have a meeting with the Pope before he died, and that could be consequential, it could not be consequential, but you will find out as the movie progresses what transpired in that meeting and how that affects the process, how that affects Conclave. Stanley Tucci actually does have quite a bit of screen time here for a potential supporting actor bid, and he's got some good scenes. I think if he slid in, it would be very much like the 5th place nomination. He has no chance of winning for this. It would just be based on love for Conclave and the weirdness of the supporting actor race. Like, I could see people voting for him, but also I could see him not missing, and I would not be upset either way. He's good enough that if he was in 5th place, I'd be like, okay. And he's also, it's also the kind of performance where if he wasn't in 5th place, I'd be like, okay. You know, I mean, it depends on who they put in, but if it's just like a wild, you know, like, well, that's not a good performance, but chances are I could probably find someone who wouldn't like upset me, because his performance, like I said, is good. I can't say it's his career best performance, so this would just be throwing a nomination his way, but he is very under-nominated, so it's sort of, it becomes a little bit like the conversation I'm having with Amjanu for Nickel Boys. It's like, they've both been nominated once before. He does have a lot more to do in Conclave than she does in Nickel Boys. He's very much... he's either 2nd or 3rd here in terms of screen time, so to Ray Fiennes. So, I mean, he does have quite a bit to do, whereas she does not. But for either one of them, they could both be left out. This is not, you know, this is neither of theirs best performances. We should have nominated them for other things, but we never nominate people for the right things. We always get into these conversations, and it matters what movie they're coming along with, and we get very unimaginative when it comes to awards season sometimes, and then we get behind performances not necessarily at the right times. So I'm not really pushing for this. Ray Fiennes, he does deal with a lot, and there's a lot of struggle, and pretty much the whole film is put on him. I don't see him winning. I don't think this is the kind of showy performance. It's a very sort of internal performance from him. It's very, he's obviously got a lot of doubts himself. He's got doubts with, you know, maybe how the system works, his faith, can he do the job? There's even like a sort of an accusation about his own, like, does he want to be Pope? You know, is he trying to maneuver the system for himself while he's being in charge of it? Of course, he assures everybody, and they're like, there's like a quote about how everyone, every cardinal at some point in time has thought about what they would want their name to be as Pope, and he's like, I haven't. And of course, that kind of, so when you sort of like, I believe actually that he hasn't, but it does sort of when you plant that seed, you know, so then he has to deal with that seed, and like why do people think I want to be Pope? You know what I'm saying? Like, so he has a very, for the level of performance, for the fact that he doesn't ever have to like yell, shout, scream, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a very sort of measured performance, but it's very internalized, and he has a lot of scenes where he just kind of very heavily meditates, a little bit of crying, you know. It's a surprisingly emotional performance for a film where he stays pretty much within the same wavelength, but he does a lot inside that wavelength. It really shows how good of an actor he is to be able to keep his composure, you know, to be like, I am this person, this is my role. And he almost feels like somebody who's constantly being watched, so he doesn't want to be seen as too much either way, so he can't react too much in either direction. It's a very nice performance from him. I would be shocked if it won the Oscar. I know some people think he's overdue. He's also, truthfully, he's overdue for a nomination. Again, dude hasn't been nominated since the 90s, which is shocking when you really think about all the performances since English Patient that he hasn't been nominated for. Mind-blowing. But yeah, he hasn't been nominated since the 90s. So I think he's definitely going to get a nomination here. He's probably the one cast member that's assured the nomination. I think Stanley and Isabella would come along if Conclave really hits with Oscar voters, or really hits with Globe voters, or really hits with, you know, whatever panel. So you may see them popping in and out of awards season, but neither one of them, would I say, is a lock in either one of their races. So yeah. But Isabella has the narrative of never being nominated before, so that's the benefit she has. it would definitely be a makeup nomination for that, because she has had much more dynamic performances. And this performance, like I said, is very, very limited in screen time. So I enjoyed the score. I enjoyed the screenplay. I'm intrigued about the possibility of cinematography from a blind person perspective with the audio description that I got, which I thought was very good and tracked all of the voting and these characters, because there are a whole bunch of Cardinals, and they don't all they don't introduce them in sort of like cartoonish ways where we're like, you immediately know who everybody is before the process. Sometimes you just kind of meet people and you'll listen to a conversation where people are talking about somebody, like they already know who it is, but they don't drop you necessarily all of the knowledge. It's a very carefully written script. So I kind of like that. There's some stuff that happens that changes, that adds a little bit of action and suspense to the movie, believe it or not. It's not just a lot of talking. Edward Berger does have a moment where there's a disruption that causes a bit of chaos that changes a little bit. So, but I don't know where it plays in the tech categories, because it doesn't scream tech. This screams a little bit more like Spotlight to me, but maybe with more consideration for like score and maybe even sound or something. But I enjoyed it. I like Conclave a lot. I don't think it's going to be my best picture of 2024. Unlike, that would be amazing if every time Edward Berger took a swing, he just suddenly directed the best picture of whatever year. But he has proven himself once again to be an exceptional director, easily one of the best directions of the year. You can feel how he's directing this conversation in the way that he wants. And the fact that it lands the way that it lands, and the fact that it's landed with audiences, means that he has really crafted an ending that I didn't think would work on a wide scale, but it has. And I appreciate that. So, a very nice job, and I highly recommend Conclave. I really enjoyed this movie, one of my favorites of the year, so I'm going to give Conclave an A. I don't really have a reason not to. I can't. There's really no detraction here from it. It's pretty much what you think it is, except the plot has maybe goes in a direction you're not 100% sure where it's going. So that's what keeps it interesting. So thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.